Hey, what's up everybody, Review Man here, and today I am reviewing Jigsaw. Now, Jigsaw... What? Huh? What? Ah! Hello, YouTubers, reviewers. I am Jigsaw, and this is the movie that I have been waiting 7 years to release. The movie is Jigsaw, and it's about 5 people wanting to play one of my games that I've set up. And I'm fixing to turn it back over to the Review Man. He has 1 hour to make this review, or post it, and do all that in under an hour. Now let's see if he can do it. I will bring you the Review Man back. Never die, let the games begin. Huh? What happened? Well, man, I was doing a review. Here's a tape. Let's see what the tape says.
Review Man, it's time to review my movie, Jigsaw. You have 1 hour or less to review this movie. Review or don't review, Review Man. The choice is yours.
Okay, that was strange. And that never happened to me during my review. But anyway, Jigsaw. It's a story about is the next installment in the Saw series. This movie takes place 10 years before the first movie ever was taking place. And it tells a story about 5 people and traps. Now the first trap is, now the movie starts off with this dude named Edgar. He's on the run from these cops. And he's sort of like Jigsaw's patsy. And he's just telling the cops that Jigsaw's game, the next game is going to begin, and 5 people are going to die. And so that ends up that he ends up on a standoff on top of a roof, and he ends up getting shot. And this dude named Hollerin, that's the cop's name, Hollerin. He's like, man, who shot this guy? Who shot this guy? And everybody's like, no, nobody else, nobody shot him. Nobody. And then once the dude gets shot, once Edgar got shot, the game began, because Edgar had this device that triggers the beginning of the game. And so the game is these 5 people had to gotta work their, pretty much their games are about confessing bad things and bad sins that they did to people. You got Mitch who sold a bad bike to a guy. You got Anna who smothered her baby and made it look like her husband did it, forcing him to go away in the loony bin and committing suicide ultimately. You got Ryan who he's pretty much a bad man. And you got Carly. She pretty much pickpocketed people, and she pretty much stole this woman's purse, causing this woman to run after her, faint, and die. And then there's this 5th guy over here. You don't see much of this 5th guy in the movie. He's just unconscious. And so what their first game is, they have to shed like a little bit of skin, and see what they got to do is then they're all got buckets on their head, and they're all being dragged toward these doors with saw blades on them. And Anna realizes that shed a little bit of blood, and she's like, okay, everybody, you gotta cut yourself. And then they all end up cutting themselves. The chains break. They end up getting the buckets off their head, but the chains aren't loose yet. They open these doors, goes to the next room. The next room is this barn. this barn looking place, and the barn, they're what's happening in the barn? There's these chains on the barn, and then they're all like acting like they're all being dragged forward. And then what you see next is you see old Billy, the puppet or Jigsaw, come up, and he just has this piece of paper on his chest that says confess. And then you have Mitch. He grabs they're all being pulled forward on these chains because they're still connected to the chains. They're all being pulled forward to the chains. Mitch grabs the tape player, unleashing them from the chains, and but they're still being connected on the chains. But what happens next is this antidote, these 3 syringes drop down, and then the next tape plays, and the next tape plays just basically says, y'all have been addicted with an antidote, and the antidote is y'all have been injected with this virus, and the antidote is inside one of these syringes, and then the numbers on them are all different prices, and then they're all connected to what Carly stole, because she stole about under $4 from this woman, and she's like, $3.54. That's all that a human's life means to me. And once they're all being strung up, and then what Ryan does is he takes all 3 syringes, jabs her in the neck, and then once she dies, they're all let go from the chains. And while she going while she's died, they say $3.54. That's all life means to her. And then they find this combination on the door, and the combination goes to a combination lock on the door. And so they open up the lock, go into the next room, and then Ryan he grabs his shovel. He starts to cheat a little bit. His leg gets cut, held up in this board, and then there's like wires and stuff that's cutting off the circulation to his leg. And the only way that he can get out is that if Mitch and Anna go in this room, and the only way that he can get out is that Mitch and Anna go in this silo-looking thing, and he pretty much has to save them to save himself. And then they're almost away from death, and all he has to do is pull this lever. And the lever, they're in the silo, covered to their necks in grain, and then there's like all these knives, saw blades. A knife goes in Mitch's shoulder, some syringes go in Anna's arm, and once they get out, Mitch is free himself, and then they go, let's see what happens next. How did Mitch die? Shit, I forgot how Mitch died, and I just seen the movie. I forgot how Mitch died, but anyway, shoot, how did he die? Something impaled his head or something. But anyway, Anna, she breaks open the door that says no exit. And she breaks open the door, she can finally see outside. She thinks she's outside. But then she sees the pig mask, the dude with the pig mask, injects her with something, and then she just blacks out and wakes up in this room along with Brian. And then they find out that the mysterious figure is John Kramer himself. But let me rewind it a little bit and tell you what's been going on while they were playing their game. You got Detective Holleran. He's trying to figure out what's been going on with all these Jigsaw murders, trying to connect these clues and everything. And after each game that's been going on up so far, it said, and then there were 4, and then there were 3, and then there were 2. And so what's going on is he's trying to figure out who the killer is. They're suspecting these people, this guy named Logan, that was a military vet, and then this woman named Ellery. She works in the morgue, and then they're getting all suspicious of these two characters. And while that's going on, Logan's investigating Ellery. Let's see what time we're up to. Well, we're on 10 minutes, so we're good. Not today, Jigsaw. Not today. And so, let's see. Everybody's pretty much suspicious of each other. And then once there was this black cop, I think his name is Detective Hunt, and he's investigating Logan. Logan's telling him that it's Hollering, an investigator named Hollering. And so pretty much everybody's in suspect of each other. Even Logan thinks it's Ellery, because Ellery takes him to this little studio, and the studio is all these different. Oh, I forget. I remember now how Mitch died. I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, it goes to the studio apartment, and it's pretty much a whole shrine to Jigsaw. And so, what happens next? And so while that's going on, you got Detective Hunt. You got him investigating all these. He tracked Ellery and Logan to the studio apartment. He was taking pictures and everything, and pretty much as evidence to put them two away. And so while that's going on, Ellery tells Logan about this trap that Jigsaw never used, but she did build a replica of it, and that trap's about to come into play right now. And so what happens is next we go to Mitch's trap, and Mitch's trap is just basically he sold this dude he lied about this dude's bike, a motorcycle, about selling this dude a motorcycle. But what it was the brakes were shot on the motorcycle, and he said it was in pristine condition. But that turns out to be Jigsaw's nephew. And Jigsaw's nephew, and all Mitch has to do is to get out of the trap, is he has to pull the brake handle on the bike. He ends up getting cut up inside the trap, mangled body. And then while that's going on, they're trying to investigate. Who else has been involved with this Jigsaw killer. They see this dude hanging from a bridge, and then they're investigating the Jigsaw killer. Each place that they're investigating, one of the mangled bodies that you just seen get mangled or whatever in the traps, they're being used to send the detective a message. And then it's like, and then there were 3, and then there were 2, and then there were 1. So pretty much everything that you've seen. And while that's going on, we got our buddy from the beginning. He's pretty much being used in a pawn. And what happens is he was in a coma, but somebody put some stuff inside his IV to bring him out of the coma, kill him, slice a jigsaw puzzle inside his on his body, and put him in Jigsaw and John Kramer's tomb. Sorry, I'm having a hard time thinking. John Kramer's tomb, and use him, make him believe that Jigsaw is still alive. But okay, and then the movie goes on. We're back to the traps now. And then we see that Anna and Ryan, they're waking up inside this room, and then the pig mask guy removes his mask, and then you find out that it's John Kramer. And John Kramer just pretty much tells Ryan that he's responsible. He should confess for killing his friends, even though that Ryan said the driver was responsible, and Anna should be responsible, confess her sins about killing her baby for crying too much. even though that she said her husband smothered the baby. These are some sick people that they're dealing with. Some sick people. But anyway, movie's going on. And Jigsaw, he just says, "Okay, I'll give you the key to your salvation. You're taking my messages backwards, and all you have to do is this shotgun is the key to your salvation." And then what Anna did, okay, then Jigsaw leaves the room, and Anna's like, "Okay, I know what I gotta do. I gotta shoot you." Ryan's like, "No, you don't. No, you don't." And what she does is she ends up aiming the gun at Ryan, ends up killing herself because the gun backfires on her, because the gun was never supposed to be used to kill anybody anyway. The keys to the locks that they were in were inside the shotgun shell. This Jigsaw is one clever dude. I give you that. I've been watching his movies from the beginning, and he's one clever dude. Okay, and then after that, Hollering is following Ellery, and is following Ellery and Logan to this pig farm. And what happens is Ellery runs off because she's a big fascination with Jigsaw anyway. She runs off. And then what happens next is that they both wake up. They both attack each other and wake up inside these laser traps. You might have seen the laser grids from the commercial, but the laser grids, they're all. And then their game is they gotta confess what they did wrong. Their game is what they gotta confess what they did wrong. And what they did wrong is one of them is Logan and he's like, "Okay, who wants to go? You have a minute to decide what you want to do. Who wants to go first and confess?" And Holloran looks wired out Logan. He said, "I'm going to choose you to go first." And what that does is that jerks Ryan back to the wall, and he says to him, "I confess I did all this bad stuff, and I mixed up the X-rays for John Kramer when he had cancer with another person." And then what that does is it cuts him, and he falls down to the ground. And then Holleran confesses, and Holleran confesses to what he did about killing people and setting them up and doing all this other stuff, and it sets him up for doing all this other stuff. And then what happens after that? Logan gets back up, and Holleran's like, "What? And it turns out that Jigsaw's accomplice. And 10 years ago, he set up the game. That happened with Mitch, Ryan, Carly, and Anna. He set up all that game, and then this is the point where find out that what happened. This game wasn't in the present day. The game happened 10 years ago, long before Amanda Hoffman and all that. So this movie sets itself up as a bit of a prequel to the entire series. And so what happens next is that he reveals that he was helping Jigsaw, and Jigsaw helped him after he got back from the army and tour and all that, and because he was still kind of messed up. And then the body that you seen at the beginning with the first bucket head that got chopped up, that was actually Logan. Jigsaw stepped in right after he ended up cutting himself, because he had like scratches and all this all over his back, and he was sewing him up and getting him back to start helping him. And so in the end, Logan says to Holleran, "I speak for the dead." And then he just slams the door. And then what you see next is you see these lasers, the laser grid, just come up and slice Holleran's head open. And then his head is like pretty much a flower sliced up in like a million different pieces. And so yeah, that was Jigsaw. Pretty good movie. Pretty good movie for a sequel of sorts. And yeah, so anyway, go check it out, guys. I'm the Review Man. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Not so fast.
Hello, I'm back. Congratulations, Review Man. You reviewed this in less than 30 minutes. Now you may go. Or else, stay here and review my other Saw movies. Make your choice.
You know what, Jigsaw? I'm gonna go. Nice playing with you. I don't want to play anymore, so I'm just gonna go. I'll see y'all guys in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Have a good one. That was easy. Peace out, guys.